Hello, everyone. My name is Pop Culture Guy. Of course, me and John are back again for another spectacular Christmas, how you say it's Festus podcast. Today we're going to discuss, of course, the Jurassic Park sequel, the original Lost World, Jurassic Park, the 1997 film, and of course, thank goodness, we're going to discuss Batman and Robin, uh, the sequel to Batman Forever, and pretty much the end of the Batman franchise until Batman Begins. John, how you doing?
Hello, Andres. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I mean, I've been busy. I can't believe actually had to see Avatar 2.
Did you like
But
it? Did you enjoy it?
yeah, I rewatched the first film last night, and it was better than the first film. So,
That's good. I
shocking.
mean, to be fair, I don't think it takes a lot to have a better plot than the first one.
Yeah. Not to spoil that film. It was just the family. The thematic slash relationships. The family we have in that film was the best thing about that film for me. And
Yeah,
and just in general, James Cameron does a really good job with the action scenes. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, you're right. It was it. I don't mind the first film. I saw it twice. I saw it in theaters with my best friend when his birthday was back 13 years ago, and then
Hmm.
I saw the second time with my parents, and that was really it. And then yesterday I saw it because I had to remember what was going on, the character, and
Right, right.
yada yada yada. And I was like,
Well,
oh, you know. So and I guess to like just went in here. It was funny when I was talking to you. You say this is your first time seeing The Lost World and Batman and Robin.
it's
So
true. First time for both.
yeah. So just let's get into your overall thoughts on The Lost World. What's your opinion on The Lost World?
Well, I thought, going in after having seen, Jurassic Park, maybe I could probably count it on one hand the amount of times I've seen Jurassic Park, the first one. Probably just a couple times.
Yeah.
Um, it was interesting to all of a sudden Jeff Goldblum's on the camera and everything like that. So, but I recognized everyone we were talking about. I
Okay.
thought it was a pretty good action-oriented movie. I do have
Yes.
some critiques, but we can get to that. But I thought that in general, you were kept moving constantly.
Yes.
I think that was nice.
Yeah. We watched this on Friday, so I had a chance to watch this movie. I saw this movie so many times because I actually love this movie. I don't know. I don't know. You saw this because I had the Lost World hat before I stick now with the flat cap,
Hmm.
and I just this is my guilty pleasure film of any films. Um, I think this movie is such a great come to the Steven Spielberg film. Like
Hmm.
it has everything you kind of expect from him. Family, thematic disruptions. With Malcolm and the daughter. Like it's not like a divorce thing, but more of like you see that in like ET and and, draws and all that like family issues that's been going on or something like that.
Right, right.
Um, and then the logical sequel take of the Lost World, like protecting the animals' rights. This case the dinosaurs. That sort of makes sense. Like John Hammond's arc here, despite briefly we have him in this movie, he's not largely in the film, but like
Yeah,
his
yeah.
presence is in the film. Like it makes sense to take after the first one, where he learns that he cannot really control this at all, of these force of natures of these creatures, as he was trying to attempt with the first film, and it was really good. And then you brought up like the action. I mean, some of this action scenes are pretty great. I mean, the tractor, um, uh, van or whatever, like
Oh, when they're
it
catching the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that the one where the
Oh,
the three characters are trapped in the van and then they're going over to the cliff
yes,
because of the T-Rex. Like
that
that's
was
really
good. Yeah.
yeah, and then of course the attack on San Diego is just I
Oh,
mean
yes, that was good too.
yeah,
Constantly moving, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, and editing. I gotta say, rewatching this, I was like, the editing is really good here. Like, not to talk too much about Batman and Robin, but the editing with Batman Ramen is just not, how you say it, innovated, you know,
Yeah, yeah, it
like,
was pretty standard.
yeah, where here is like there's really cool way, like I love how they did a really innovative and cool way to cut scenes, like the beginning of the movie when the girl gets attacked with those like small centipede dinosaurs. I don't know what you call them, but
Yeah, I don't
um
remember the name, but I know what you mean.
yeah, and then the the mom screams, and then quick, you hear Malcolm yarning, and like that's such a cool like cut to
Yeah, yeah. It's like
to introduce
like a
introduction to
good
your
prologue preface
yeah,
to the whole movie about
yeah,
what's about to happen. And you don't get like explained what exactly that scene was until maybe
yeah,
like 10, 15 minutes later.
exactly. Yeah, and then of course when the daughter goes into the one of the trucks and you see the like the map, and then it say the island Ursun Nula, the second island,
Mhm.
and then it cuts to the boat, and like that's really good editing there.
Oh yeah.
Like very like consistent ending. This is of course Michael Kahn. He's a regular collaborator with Steven in some of his films, and it's just very good editing here. But I mean, I mean, I cannot shy away of the problems. I don't think it's a really great sequel. I had someone mentioned like Steven and everyone like got into like they knew they wanted to make a sequel because of the first one was big, it made money, blah blah blah, and everyone loved it like Star Wars level.
Hmm.
When they were doing this film, I have a funny feeling that they started to lose interest, and so like it's very hollow and just very boring in certain sections. And it's like,
Exactly.
yeah,
I didn't really feel like any character was actually developed at all. It was just kind of people going through the motions, and even Jeff Goldblum's character is just like, I don't want to be here. This is a rescue operation, and that's his character throughout the whole thing. There's no changing the whole thing about people calling him out of "You're never there when I need you." That
yeah,
never gets resolved. You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. They like, oh my god, that like that's a good example of just like not developing the ideas for her, like even the dinosaur thing, like protecting their rights, it's like fairly addressed from the beginning and then to the end, but then like I don't know, it's because it's just like
You're just kind of left to pick up the pieces of it. Oh, you
yeah,
understand. We need to protect them.
yeah, and it's like because like Agent made them like they own them, and it's like okay, that's interesting, but I want to have more discussion with that. Um, yeah, Malcolm's like let's get into that. Because one of the criticisms, and that this is the right one, I wasn't thinking about this until I think it made sense, especially with the third film. Like, did you have any questions why we didn't get Grant back to this film? Because it just made more sense to have Grant as the main character than Malcolm, because he got so popular from the first film. Like, like
Grant being the main guy in the original.
yeah,
Correct? Yeah.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is confusing because it's like I remember Jeff Goldblum's character being this sort of more of just a side guy. He was a supporting actor, you
yeah,
know, a supporting character. He wasn't nearly the main from my memory.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, no, that was odd. I was like, okay, I guess we're dealing with this. And again, it kind of just felt like he was just rolled into the situation. Oh, of course he's getting called up because Hammond is. They weren't even necessarily, I think, describing why Hammond. Oh, so InGen took control of the situation. Blah blah blah.
yeah,
But it was so okay, Jeff. Now you're the one going.
yeah,
I'd really like you to go. And also, I already told you. They also never really dealt with the fact that the girlfriend was told about it. She went. She didn't tell him. Hammond didn't tell him. And now he's obligated to go to save her or
yeah,
to at least make sure that she's not gonna, get hurt or something like that. And
yeah.
like no one. I feel like that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Well, and then after Malcolm hears that, John, Hammond, John Hammond. I just realized he has your name. Like he mentioned, oh, like she went to Costa Rica to find that the rumors were true, about like this incident happened, the first Jurassic Park, like he got injured and all that. Like, okay, so she was like interesting on him because of the events of the first film, but then it just very like it was barely mentioned, and then it's like, okay, well, why you brought that up? It's like it didn't like I don't know, like see that whole meeting between John and Hammond and Malcolm was right for me. The like, okay, there's something wrong with this movie going forward
It was
because
just rushed exposition. Here's where we are. Here's where how the movie's gonna go. Have
yeah,
fun. And the movie
yeah,
really starts when he gets to the island. But it's
yeah,
like with that experience, it's so rushed. Like you're just rushed into the situation where
hmm
suddenly all hell breaks loose.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't that for me. It was more of like the tone during those scenes were very
Oh yeah.
troubling for me. Yeah, because
How's that?
well, you think Hammond, like you think the characters should be serious, and then I don't like what they were doing in this film. I knew when I was very young when I was rewatching this film multiple times before, and in this latest rewatch, I remembered they always constantly make this meta commentary about Malcolm mentioned how this time there was no fences and the dinosaurs don't have the life support intentionally that will
The
kill them
lysine
if
thing, yeah.
yeah the lysine thing, and then later on when they were in the island he does another commentary. Oh, despite the wonder and awe with these dinosaurs, he mentions later it's going to be screaming and then running, and it's like you cannot do that while you're doing like you're literally proceeding to
You're referencing your other movie, and it's
yeah, yeah,
really
it's
meta. And like, let's. I mean, they use his quote twice.
yeah,
The whole "life finds a way." They use that twice in this movie, and they're very blatant about it.
yeah, yeah,
No
eh,
one in the movie universe would ever be like, "That's a quote. I'm gonna bring that up a year,
yeah,
4 or 5 years from now." Like,
yeah,
it's just a line.
yeah. Well, what that means for this film, like with that in the first film, it makes sense because when Grant, like because all the dinosaurs were female in the first film, and
Mhm.
then because Michael theorized that they doesn't matter what gender they were, they like can genetically can produce, you know,
Yeah,
kids. It just will be in a way that we don't expect it. And then guess what? We got a payoff in the first film where Grant find these dinosaurs because he explained how the frog DNA, despite they're female, they can gender flip, you know,
right,
and
right.
and then like that made sense. Why is a life can find a way, and that made sense during the first one. Here, I don't understand what it means here. Like, are we not allowed like because it doesn't connect to the idea of like we need to allow these dancers to live by themselves, like in the very equal, like a eco environment way of like cannot disrupt their environment and just way of living, right? As creatures, Um,
Yeah,
but
no,
I
yeah.
it just I don't know. I don't understand why we're doing that again with the quote. It's just um yeah, and then and just him as well. Like he's like joking around in the film in that meeting that I'm talking about, and like he's making again, and he also made a comment. He's like, "Oh no, I'm not making the same mistakes again," and it's like you are doing the same mistakes again. I
This
just
is
don't
the
understand.
exact same thing.
Yeah, and like that frustrated me. Like he should be more like his performance should be more serious, and like he has did change, but it felt like he didn't change at all.
No,
But
and it's that kind of thing. Like it feels like Jeff Goldblum's character for at least the first half of the movie. It's like he's the only one in the entire thing that feels like a reasonable person. You know?
oh yeah, yeah. Um, I gotta say, I don't like how they written Malcolm here, because one of the complaints people mention, and I do agree with this, because the screenwriter just he did so bad with the characters of this film, especially Malcolm. He just doesn't have his like charisma, his quippiness. He's just this very annoying, like angry dad in this film, just very bitter, and like he doesn't have that same like fun and just like enthusiasm you like him from the first film, you know? Like this that's why I like that's where the new movies do a better job of handling him. Like the this last one, he felt more Malcolm there than this movie really. It's just I don't know, the curiosity of this Malcolm character is just really is off the charts. And then the kid here, you know, the daughter, Kelly, you know, I don't know what they're doing with this
It just
daughter.
felt unnecessary. Like you're
Yeah.
talking about bringing family into the film and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's classic kind of move, but it didn't feel necessary in this movie whatsoever. And
Yeah.
again, in particular because nothing is really resolved. The family problem is not resolved, so why is it here?
Well, I mean, you know what's weird? Like this is not like a problem. Like she's having a good life. Like she's not like you know, Magma's not doing this like you know very strict parenting thing. Like he's actually very cool and like he's very loose about Kelly and you know all that. But like she's like you know complaining about like she you know ground her a couple of times from you know the meeting the first time we see her she's talking about oh I want you to ground me or something like that you know be like a you know actual parent
Mhm.
you know like being you know this uptight parent. I'm like why like he says he's doing a better job than
Right,
most
right.
parents right like that's what you wish for as a kid right I don't understand like what it's like it's just this
Ah,
excuse of drama it's just excuse really
yeah, yeah.
yeah so yeah she's the worst like oh my god I don't know if she and this new girl from the new films. I don't know which one is awful, but I mean I had to say Kelly's like the worst. Like I definitely put her like knife worst child out of these series because we have so many like child centric characters in these films for some reason. some are good, but some are just like pointless, really.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that felt a little pointless. Again, it's just without
Yeah,
any kind of development of these people, you're just kind of left with stiff stick figures of characters, you know?
yeah, yeah, I agreed. Um, Also they're like gimmicks. They're like just plot points or plot uh directions just to move one thing to another or set up something. Like I never noticed this, but the writers use Julie Moore's character, Sarah, who's the girlfriend of Malcolm, right? And like she does the most dubious things in this film that cost her and these people's lives so many times in the film.
Mhm.
Like her jacket when the blood is like you should have watched that before because you didn't like the T-Rex gonna smell it and try to you know, get you guys again because you know, I don't want you to be in this territory again.
And and Hammond had talked her up at the beginning of the movie, like, oh, she's one of the best in her field, like she knows what she's doing 100%, and these
Yeah.
continuous
Um.
errors on her part.
Yeah. Oh my god. When we first meet her, and when her camera starts making that noise around those other dinosaurs, uh, it's like, oh wow, like wait, we're just making her like a just a stupid character, and
Yeah,
just like yeah, it's
yeah.
just yeah. Well, what do you think about Sarah? I was surprised to see Julianne Moore when you know when I got to the movies. I was like, oh, just Julianne Moore. I forgot.
I
Yeah.
don't know, she just wasn't like, again, it's sort of like these odd, sporadic, impulsive choices at the very beginning that sort of counter the whole,
Hmm.
she knows exactly what she's doing, and they try to brush it off as, well, it's because this is a paleontologist's dream, which I can understand, but
Yeah.
you think that also paleontologists would have some respect for the fact that these things are probably like they would you'd think that she would know better than most
Hmm.
people just how dangerous this is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
Especially the carnivores and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. I agreed. Like I I wish I kind of wish her motive was just like I don't think we never get a motive why she wanted to go there, right? Like she
Well,
was
I think
what like
it's the paleontologist's dream.
okay.
She'd been looking at bones all this whole time, and to actually be able to see them living and breathing,
Yeah.
that is definitely, I can
Yeah.
understand that. but that doesn't mean that you take in an injured T-Rex child, you know,
Yeah, well, that was not her fault. That was Miss Vaughn's character's fault. But it was her
which
fault.
is a whole other thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, just stupid mistakes and decisions from these characters in this movie, and it's like, oh my god. And like, I mean, and then, I mean, like at least Vince Vaughn and the tech guy, Eddie, I can't believe I remember his name, Eddie, are there for the money, and a resource fund from Hammond, so that makes sense, but
It
you know,
makes sense. It's just like when all of a sudden Vince Vaughn's character is like, actually, I'm not here to document. I was
yeah,
told that I'm here as literal backup, like militaristic backup, just in case
oh
I could
yeah,
do it
yeah,
in
no,
peace. You know, it just like came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, like there's not even like a warning about it, which is what
yeah,
makes it feel like it's more of a plot device than it is an actual story. You know, it doesn't really blend in.
mm, yeah. I don't believe Vince Vaughn being the one that's the person who will get the information. You think the Hammond will tell Malcolm about that ahead of time, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. Picking back to Sarah, do you ever believe the relationship between Sarah and Malcolm? Do you?
No,
Okay,
no.
because
I could almost believe like a divorced couple would be more believable than like an active relationship, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I'm really torn with this. I mean, the idea of Julianne Moore being a girlfriend to Jeff Goldblum is funny, but in the film, it's like, oh my god, it's just boring, and it's like they're just so incompatible. Or I don't know,
Well,
on.
there's no it you don't get the sense that there's any intimacy between them whatsoever. Like, there's
Yeah,
no chemistry going on at least on camera.
no, no, no. It's not like the Ellie or Grant relationship where that was more charming and way better
Yeah. There's more
relationship.
chemistry between, her and Vince Vaughn's character.
Yeah, it's true, and it's funny that those two men also know Sarah. So it's funny when I first saw that I was like, oh, they know. It's like how convenient. Everyone knows Sarah.
Right. It's just so
It's just
strange.
Yeah, it's just so strange. I never see a movie how so convenient that every character knows each other. It's like NCIS. I don't know if you've seen that show, but literally every spin-off show, when we're gonna introduce a spin-off show for NCIS or a character to be the main cast, sometimes they know Gibbs as a character, and it's like, how do you know this guy? It's like,
Gets around.
yeah, yeah, and then here it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's just, um, I I want to get into let's get into the best theme about this week. Like, I think the best theme for me, and it's so unfortunate he's not here with us, is the late great actor Pete Postlethwaite. He's the one that plays the hunter, whose his only interest is really capturing the T Rex in the film. He's amazing. I love him. He's one of the best aspects of the film. Like when we first introduce him, he has this long monologue of explaining to Hammond's nephew, who's he's a rich guy. Just he's so clueless of the situation, and he explains, "Look, what I'm in charge here. Like you can set up the camp, whatever. Like that whole scene is so hilarious, but it's just so on point of who this character is as
Absolutely.
a hunter, and I love it so much.
Yeah, he did a great job, and it's like, again, it's the movie to me with him makes you feel like, rather than like, "I don't understand what you're doing," it's, "I want more of this guy." You know, that
Yeah,
was interesting. Interesting guy, because he had, like,
yeah,
he as much as he could be seen as a sort of, more villainous or something like that, at the same time, he has a code, you
yeah,
know, this principled, um, morally maybe problematic figure.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, and just he works very well with other characters. Yeah, it's just something about him. Just like it's because the actor just puts everything into that character. Like he feels like very three dimensional, and like you understand his motivations so much more than any of these characters as we were discussing. Right now with the other characters, and yeah, and when he leaves, halfway the film, like I was so sad because he was just great as that character, and I love his little friend. RJ, and
Yeah,
I feel so bad for him. Like I love how he's like RJ didn't make it, and it's like oh, it's just I just feel for him.
yeah. I
And
just wish they had more of him because it
yeah,
was
oh
every scene with him was great.
yeah, I wish they kept I'd seen the deleted scenes for these films.
I have
Uh,
not.
yeah, I just want to like this one is more important than some of the deleted scenes. It's been a while I've seen the deleted scenes, but there was an alternate scene of his introduction before we see him in the island, where RJ meets him in like India or some South Africa uh, continent town to propose him about this mission, about the InGen of mission that he's going to do, as we're going to see in the island. And it's a great scene because you see him how he is as a hunter, and like he actually beats up this very rude person as like harassing the waitress, and like he ties his hand up to the back and he constantly punches him, and it's so funny, but it's a funny scene, but it shows how just so like I say very focused and very efficient hunter he is, and as a
Right.
person, and it's
Right.
a really great scene. I highly recommend seeing that delete scene.
That
It's
does sound,
just
yeah. It sounds like it gives a little bit, yeah, like an earlier perspective on that kind of practicality.
but it also set up his motivation too, which was great. He explained like I'm not here for the money. I just want to know that there's a like, an actual T Rex there, like that. So it's really great. I highly recommend for you, John, to see that.
Will
Um,
do. Will do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh God, I was so sad when he passed away in 2010, long time. So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he's in a couple movies. Like he's in Leo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet film from the
Oh yeah.
90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he played the priest. He's the best thing about that film too, and he's in Exception. He plays the father of the businessman that the team are like trying to implant the
Oh,
idea to dissolve the company.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's him, and he was in The Town, the Ben Affleck second film. But yeah, he's a very amazing actor. He's in Alien 3 if you see him there. But
Mm.
incredible actor. Sadly, he's not with us. But I I gotta say, he's the best thing about this film, completely. And it's just sad because uh, with the other characters, and um I will say, best thing about this film it does compared to other Jurassic films is the human villains, because this is where the third film does it really wrong, where it's the dinosaurs being the villains, which is completely stupid and doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Here, I think the human villains, like, because here's the thing, like, I understand the nephew, like, he's the main antagonist, like, InGen and the nephew are the main antagonists of this film, and we're sympathize still with dinosaurs, despite the T Rex or the raptors and all that. They're still creatures that we should respect, all
Right.
that. And I think this is where the movie does a really good job, because the third film with Jurassic Park 3, where Alec Grant is there again, he's actually the main character there. And the best thing about that film, there's no engine, there's no villains, human villains. It's just a thriller, really, which is fine. But the film doesn't have a lot to do,
Yeah.
and
It's Jurassic Park's not really like a thriller franchise.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And so I really enjoyed that. I guess, like, what's your opinion on the nephew, who's the main, you know, he's the one that's trying to push like having a Jurassic Park in San Diego, and he's the one that got killed by the T Rex towards the end.
He feels like it's like a typical archetype of like big business.
Yeah,
It's like I'm trying to
British.
squeeze profit out of something. British
Yeah, yeah,
businessman, kind of a vibe. So
yeah,
it's like he works fine as like an action movie villain.
yeah, yeah.
You
Um,
know, you don't really expect a lot more development from that.
yeah.
So
Well,
he's just kind of there. He's a
yeah,
plot device, really.
yeah. It's just weird because like I just want to know more about his relationship with Hammond because that's his family member, his uncle, and it's like
We never see them talk to each other.
yeah, it just and that's another dilly scene I wish we kept, um, like before the mom scream in the beginning of the film that
Mhm.
opens up the film, we cut into a board meeting room where we introduce him, and then they showed the pictures of the injured girl from the opening, and
Right.
that's where he's trying to convince him to lock out Hammond from the company that we're gonna get with the meeting with him and
Interesting.
Malcolm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great scene because then his last line is like, "I don't like saying these uh, to to my uncle," and it's just a great line. But
Right. At least it
yeah,
prefaces the fact that he's a person in the movie. Yeah.
yeah, this is a family member. But yeah, but I really wish we did more with that aspect, but we don't do because as you say, John, he's just like a typical yuppie who just sees these dinosaurs as opportunity to get InGen out of the chapter 11 bankruptcy as mentioned from Hammond early in the film.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was very like, but I didn't know. He almost played such a small role. It was more like he's the catalyst for the problem, and he
Yes.
doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah, he's just like was it Nentries from the first film, Wayne Knight's character.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he like just like Nedry, he did so many stupid mistakes. It's like towards the end, I he's telling the shooters to kill the big mom and then just leave the infant alive. And it's like, why are you still doing this? It's like it's over.
Hmm.
It's just ridiculous.
Exactly. It's done.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, more frustration with me at that. Uh, but I was happy with his death. I was like, especially he's trying to, like, he tried to do the dog, like, come here,
Yeah.
little and then like the mom comes up, and oh my god, the mom biting the leg is so, oh my god, I love it. It's
It was
just,
definitely it was a satisfying way for him to go.
yeah,
Absolutely. Very fitting.
exactly, I love it, and I love the baby T Rex, um, eats, and then the look of the T Rex mom is like happy. It's like, oh, look at
Yeah,
my
just, "Oh,
child.
isn't it cute?"
Okay, another best thing. The spectral effects. That's the most important thing about the Jurassic Park films since the first film is the effects. Um, when you compare this to the first film, this is more seamless than the first film. Despite how revolution the first film is, like this just pushes more. Like some of the like the dinosaurs you look at is very seamless. Like they like look real. You know, you
Yeah,
know
no,
the matter.
absolutely.
The matter of the CGI slash animatronics they have in this film. Still,
They did a
it's
great job in that, and it's the transition even in this, like, going between scenes with the computer generated stuff to
yeah.
the, practical effects. You
Oh
didn't
man,
notice it that much.
yeah. Like my favorite shot from that is the two T Rex parents coming back from the small Eddie trying to pull the truck off, falling not falling from the cliff. Like you see the wide shot of them, CGI form, and then you cut them into a close up of the animatronic face, like perfect way to do that, and
Mhm.
it's like really great. And then, um, it's always an issue when like in terms of daylight. This like you see that the dinosaurs in daylight, which we saw in the first one too. But here is like you see it full sequence, which is cool. And so and that looked like really good still today. When you see the
Okay.
hunters capturing the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just really impressive stuff here, and the effects got nominated again, and it's good because it's still best quality, and it's definitely improvement from the first film. But yeah, and
Absolutely.
then yeah, and then what else? I guess another positive is the score for John Williams.
Yeah, that was good too. The
Yeah,
good music and everything, fitting for all the scenes. I thought in general, like the way that they would shape up shots too was fantastic. Like
yeah.
the way, especially the Velociraptor scene,
Oh yeah, those are good.
with the like you couldn't see anything beyond
The
the tall grass
tails,
and
the tail
everything,
grass.
the
Yeah,
tail, and the shot from above, watching the old everyone running, and then you see in the distance the
distance them coming
Mhm.
like yeah, like
Like that was
closing
great.
under them.
You could feel it almost, like just sort of, whoa, man, what
Yeah,
are they gonna do?
yeah, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, and then what is it like? And then they do the jump scare when the one raptor gonna attack Sarah. Like that's pretty
Mhm.
effective.
Yeah,
Yeah, that whole raptor scenes are great. I mean, I love the raptors here in this film. They're amazing.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Oh God, that's good. I want to pick back up John Williams the score because that the score there during that scene is really incredible. I love the score here. It's definitely the underrated John Williams score. I wish people listen to more. It's very like it fits the mood of the dark tone they're doing with the sequel. Um, like a lot of drums and like a lot of like flutes going on in the score, which is great. He does call back the theme of Jurassic Park towards the end and
yeah.
here and there, but it's very effective. I really like the score here. I listen to more, especially the San Diego attack. The score there is really great. So but yeah, so yeah, let's get into the bad stuff. Um, I, I mean, we mentioned characters, but like, what was the thing you did not like about this film? Like, which I didn't notice, but
The what?
like.
Sorry.
Like, what you didn't like about this film? What was the thing that
Okay.
distracted you? Like,
I think the worst thing about it was that like it comes back to the character development. It feels like
mhm,
you kind of just end up in the same exact spot that you left in the beginning of the movie,
yeah,
where you have these. Okay, so if we're talking about the family problems, again, nothing is resolved. You still have this dysfunctional parent-child relationship. You still have this dysfunctional boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. One of the
hmm
characters died, and they only give a brief mention to it, and no one seems horribly concerned about it.
yes,
Um, Vince Vaughn's character's quick change from I do documentary, but actually I'm secretly Greenpeace, and no one's going to bat an eye at the situation. Like, oh, that's fine.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
normal. Um, no one feels like they got any. Like again, it's like the ship sets out. You expect something to change by the time you come back, and
yeah,
nothing has. Everything exactly the same, and I think that it makes it feel. Why did I watch this?
yeah,
Because it's at least to me sometimes it's fun because you get taken on that character's journey through whatever it is that they're going through, and there wasn't really any journey to go through. And that's to say that the thing is the redeeming thing is the action sequences because they were very good, but it's
yeah.
sort of as if the whole movie itself was an action sequence and didn't have any sort of emotional development at all.
No, I mean, it's very heartless. It doesn't have the heart or the passion like the first film was.
Exactly.
So and that's why. And just in general, for me, it's just the screenwriter, David Koepp, who did the first one with the author Michael Crichton, who didn't return for this film because he just does. I mean, he was right. I mean, he didn't know the sequel was not going to work. Um, he's just not a good screenwriter. He's really just a very just like he's like a very contented person. Just like he can structure the film properly for his director to take, no matter how weak they are. Here
Yeah.
it's like that, and he like does the awful thing. They do the thing that people brought up in the first film about Hammond's a niece. There's like a brief, but like I didn't even notice this, but I never thought it was serious. But her being a hacker in the first film, and then you see the scene at later, she's do hacking on the computer. Well, not hacking the computer. It's like she's using the computer trying to get the security system back up from
Yeah.
the while the raptor is attacking Alan and the whole team there. And then here, Kelly brings up, oh, my gymnastics thing. She's like a gymnastics person, whatever, and then later on we get the payoff of that. And it's like, why? it's like
This
it's
was
like
unnecessary,
yeah,
and then it's all like the whole thing. Oh, I thought you were kicked
y-
off the team.
yeah,
She's like, you just
yeah,
did this like fantastic act. Like I don't know where. It just was like, why? Why is this happening?
yeah. Oh my god, very big sin for me. Writing 101, not to do. Yeah, it's really awful. Yeah, I think that's the big problem with this film is just not passion.
No,
It's just a heartless cash grab sequel. Uh, isn't its full front like you brought up because you brought this up in our what is it in last or one of our podcasts. What was
I think
it?
it was we were talking about sequels when we were talking about Coco.
Yes, thank you. Oh my god, right? And you brought up how like there's a line between ones that they like I explained there's a line where the creators know they want to continue it because there's more story to tell. And then there's you right about well there's ones that just they did it because of cash grab and that, like
Hmm.
there's no that there was really one story to tell. And then this is a
Right,
good example of that.
right.
Despite this was based on a book. Um and I think the book did a way better job. I heard the book is better than this movie. It's just there are a lot of things they cut it from this movie. I think from the book that
Now
could have.
was now Michael Crichton's original stuff. Were there multiple books in like comprising in the Jurassic Park world, or is it just one book and they
This
derived
too,
all the movies from? There's two of them.
yeah,
Okay.
just two. Um, I mean, there could have been things they can like take from the first book that they didn't translate from the live action to this movie. Um, like I mean, I think because there's like we didn't know like I wish we knew more about the rival company that they sent Nentry to steal the canister,
Right.
which we get from the new movie this year. We get that here,
Okay.
Biosand, that's what it's called,
Yeah.
and we got the person that like actually talked to Nentry. He's actually the main villain of this movie this year in the new
So they
Jurassic
finally
World.
get they finally got around to it.
Yeah, and guess what? He died the same way as Nedrick did in the first one, where those like poisonous raptors spit out those like black ooze at him.
Right, right.
Yeah, it was so funny when I saw that in theaters. But yeah, I I have the book. I bought it from when I was in the when I was a counselor training. I haven't read the book, but um there was a lot of material they cut out. Like Malcolm was injured again. Like he had the same thing, just like the first film or the first book. But he gets out, and then yeah, and there was more deaths, and then there was more action scenes that were different that they changed in this movie. Some of it was because of cost cutting, or it was too brutal, or it just yeah, like the San Diego attack the T Rex was not in the book. That's actually Steven Spielberg idea. He had the idea very from the beginning. He just got rid of the original ending from the book. And then this one is from the this is where we get it from the third film. The pterodactyls were supposed to appear in the film. We see them in the
Last
right.
scene of this one.
Yeah, there's an action scene for the second book for those characters. They're gonna attack some of the hunters. They're gonna have parachutes and the
Mhm.
guy away. But unfortunately, the pterodactyl was gonna attack them. That got cut because I saw in the behind the scenes of the Lost World. One of the editors or effects person or concept starters mentioned that it was just too brutal. It was like it was too violent, so they cut that out
Yeah.
completely. So yeah, I just but I just wish Crichton came back. I feel like what made the first one really work was because Crichton is a good writer. I seen the original Westworld, and he's actually a really good director and writer. And I think with him not being here and just having the first screenwriter doing it all by himself, it was a big no-no because he's
Mhm.
just not a good writer, where Crichton is. And
Yeah.
I just think just this movie falls too much tropes and gimmicks and just no passion really to.
You have one of the best, kind of sci-fi or, those science fiction writers out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to reference the stuff that he actually wrote.
yeah. So yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, 25 years. Can't believe it for this movie. I'm happy you see this film finally. I'm very excited to see you to see the third film because that's my. I hate the third film. It's awful. I
Mhm.
don't like it.
So you're excited for me to see
Yeah, and just talk about the
it.
pain I have
Yes.
for so many years. Oh my god, which we can do because I don't want like we don't have to do an anniversary podcast on that. Like we could do it next year with the third film, with the first film, and then we could get off the original trilogy, and then we get into Jurassic World. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy you see this first one. I really like this film despite the flaws. It's one of my guilty pleasure films because
There
there's
are
some.
there are enjoyable parts to it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's definitively not it's not a bad movie,
yeah,
but
yeah.
definitely
No,
doesn't have anything that could be built into it being great.
exactly, exactly. And I mean, I have to say, like, I'll give people why I like this more than Jurassic Park 3. This movie feels more of a movie. It has a three arc structure, where Jurassic Park 3 doesn't really have freaking three three act structure. As a movie person or just a regular person. Like you need
Mhm.
three act structure for films. Its final act is really awful. It's just so unsatisfying in the third film. Where here you get the great San Diego attack and the raptor attack before we get
Right.
into the mainlands. Like you got two great like big cinematic final scenes before this movie ends. Where that is just like it doesn't have a lot to go after
Yeah,
after
yeah.
this one big scene, and it's just like it's running out of films, really,
I know what you
unfortunately.
mean,
Yeah, and then it just chickens out. Like there's no main depths of the main characters. Despite it's the same thing here, but at least you get more depths here. Where there's like only a small amount of people in the third film, and it's like spoils. There's a character that's associated with Grant, and like his name is Billy, and he's also a character. And like he forces Grant to join with this couple to rescue this boy in the third film, and then he does the stupidest thing, just like any character in the series, just like the second film. He steals raptor eggs, and that's why these raptors are chasing after them during that film. And then Grant sees that, and then of course he does his sacrifice thing, saving the boy from the pterodactyl cage they're in, and then supposedly he dies. You know what they do in the end of the film when
yeah.
everyone is saved from the navy? What?
What?
Wait, what?
No,
Oh,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna let you guess, but um, well, guess what? He didn't die. He's actually survived, and he has Grant's hat doing the Indiana Jones. Like, I need to get my hat. And it's like he survived. It's like I don't know. It's really awful. When we get to that, it's like you understand like how just annoying that film is for me.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah, yeah,
I can imagine.
yeah. But this will be a perfect way to transition into our second film discussion.